What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. In this video today, going to be talking about something controversial. Guess what? Most videos talking about any draft picks are controversial, but we're talking about quarterbacks. We're talking about Anthony Richardson, which is extra controversial. So let me know in the comment section down below your guys' thoughts, because Anthony Richardson is visiting with the Baltimore Ravens. It's the last visit that he's doing prior to the draft, and it's coming to the team with the most quarterback, I'll say, drama or controversy or dealings yet to be done in the NFL, and that is the Baltimore Ravens and their Lamar Jackson situation. Because, to catch everybody up, Lamar Jackson requested a contract. The Ravens didn't want to pay it. Lamar requested trade. The Ravens don't want to trade him. And so they apply the franchise tag. Lamar hasn't signed the franchise tag yet. And the Ravens do have a late first round pick 22 in the draft, technically pick 23. And so a lot of people are thinking, hey, who's the most similar player to Lamar Jackson in the draft? It's Anthony Richardson. Maybe the Ravens move on from Lamar and draft Anthony Richardson, especially after, recent news has come out about the Jalen Hurts contract. And I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video this week in terms of, how it compares to what Lamar Jackson is wanting. But he got a similar offer to what the Ravens offered Lamar Jackson last year, and Lamar turned down. And so people thinking that, oh yeah, this contract, Lamar's not going to get paid because of this. It's actually pretty similar to what Lamar was offered. And Lamar's like, we're not even close. So it's a little bit concerning as to whether or not the Ravens will be able to get Lamar Jackson under contract this year. And if he does end up holding out, or something of that nature, or refuses to play, or demands a trade, not requests a trade, but demands a trade, what are the Ravens going to have to do? And they have a week and a half to do it. They actually have a week. It's Wednesday today. The draft is in 8 days. And the Ravens have to figure out what their exact plan is. They are going to be having discussions with Lamar Jackson, I assume, in the next week, because they need to make sure that what they are trying to do, he is going to be on board with, because they're going to talk to him. And they're going to be like, hey, receiver, round one, are there any guys that you're looking for? Are there any players you want us to draft? Because they're trying to make him happy. And if you're trying to make someone happy, you want to figure out what they want. And the draft is the best way for the Ravens to add certain players outside of potentially trading for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. But if, let's say, the Ravens do end up getting that offer, where they're like, it's come out where like the Ravens have listened to offers, not that, they've been close on anything. But if a team offers the Baltimore Ravens, right? Let's say it's the Colts and they offer pick 4 and maybe some other stuff, whatever. Maybe it's a deal too good to be true and they have to accept. It's the 4th pick in the draft. They're probably going to draft a quarterback with that selection. So I think it's smart that they're doing their research, and not just doing their research for them to draft, but for them to play against. I think people drastically overvalue or put too much emphasis on all of these pre-draft interviews, right? Because you get the top 30 visits, you also get the interviews at the combine, and you can meet with those guys. I remember the Ravens were meeting with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that wasn't widely reported. But I put out a video when I had a source that told me that Ravens were a team that he was speaking to a lot. And so it was like, teams don't just speak to players not only because they want to draft them, but sometimes they think, hey, we're going to have to play against this guy. Let's learn as much as we can about them. Because Anthony Richardson is an enigma. People don't know exactly what he can do in the NFL, because he could be great. He's got all the potential in the world, right? But he also has some concerns, right? Accuracy, footwork, consistency is something that people have brought up. But again, those are things that are brought up about quarterbacks that end up getting fixed sometimes. And guys end up being great, right? You want to look at accuracy concerns. You can look at Josh Allen, and he was able to turn around. At the same time, I also hate the comparisons, because like, you can't just fix everybody. It's not a guarantee that players' accuracy and fundamentals and stuff like that will improve. I think a lot of people expect that it just automatically does. It doesn't automatically do it. Not saying it won't happen, not saying it will happen, but I think the Ravens meeting with Anthony Richardson isn't about them thinking about drafting him. I don't think they would draft Anthony Richardson. I think like if we're being honest, the Ravens are trying to win right now. He's not a win now type of draft pick. He's a maybe probably not probably definitely struggles a lot first year. And then maybe second year he's able to start turning it up. Okay. The Ravens are trying to win this year. So for them, interviewing a guy like that, I think is more on the side of, hey, let's see what he can do. And maybe we have to play against him. Let's try and learn how he thinks. Let's try and see what he's about. Do we have to worry about this guy? Because there are, reports, hey, maybe he goes number one to the Carolina Panthers. Maybe the Colts end up grabbing him at number 4. Maybe the Raiders could go after him. And also teams that, could be interested in Lamar Jackson, teams like the Falcons reportedly, the Colts. I already mentioned the Colts at pick 4, but like if they draft Anthony Richardson, right? Okay, now they're not going to go after Lamar Jackson. So maybe what are they looking for? I'm just trying to really understand it, because you want to understand the quarterbacks. Those are the most important players in the NFL. If you interview all of them, that's going to help your team, because you're just going to get a little bit more out of them. Because if you have to play them week 4, week 5, there's not going to be that much film on them in the NFL, and you're going to want to know as much as you possibly can. So, again, I don't think the Ravens bringing in and interviewing Anthony Richardson is something to be concerned about the Lamar Jackson situation. I think it's more just them trying to get a general understanding of where everybody sits in the draft, because the Ravens are always looking to make moves, whether it's trade up or trade back. Eric DeCosta has made a move every draft that he has been a part of. And maybe he trades up, not necessarily to take Anthony Richardson, but to take somebody that he really likes. And if an Anthony Richardson is falling, and maybe he's still available at pick 10, and I believe the Tennessee Titans have pick 11, Texans have pick 12, two teams that could be very interested in a quarterback. Maybe the Rams are like, oh man, I don't know should we trade up and try and snag him at this spot? All that type of stuff. Not just snag him, but okay, maybe he's going to go here, and they can just understand, right? Okay, I think he's going to go here, which means this player will stay available, right? Because the most important thing, not just for any team, but the Ravens, what they do specifically is they draft best player available. And how you do that is you understand where certain players are going to go, so that you can kind of predict how your draft board is going to fall. So if you're looking at, like, let's say last year, Kyle Hamilton was my number 1 player for the Ravens to draft last year. And I was looking at it like, okay, there's going to be teams that need tackles in front of the Ravens. There's going to be teams that need corners. There's going to be teams that need edge rushers. And, so in front of the Ravens, like that's, there's going to be multiple. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, there's like 10 picks that just guaranteed won't be Kyle Hamilton. And then there's the other guys where it's like, maybe they could go with the safety, but probably not. And so he's able to slide down that board. So if you understand, okay, he's going to go at this spot, then you can get a better comprehension of, hey, maybe Joey Porter Jr. slides one more pick. Maybe Jackson Smith-Njigba slides one more pick, because a team like the Titans is sitting there at 11, and the Ravens are like, okay, you know what? Anthony Richardson from that interview reminds me a lot of what the Titans seem to be looking for, right? Physicality, big potential, big play type of thing, running, rushing quarterback they pair with Derrick Henry, right? Physical, all that type of stuff. And the Ravens could be like, okay, we don't need to trade up for the pick in front of the Titans, because, we're not worried about the Titans taking him. So maybe then we look at the next, taking the player that we want in Joey Porter Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba. I don't know, Van Ness, Nolan Smith, whatever, Christian Gonzalez, whoever you want to say the Ravens are targeting. I'm just going to keep saying Joey Porter Jr. It can be whoever you want to imagine. Okay, we don't have to worry about the Titans. Then let's say the Titans don't draft him, and they go up with another quarterback. They go with Will Levis. They go with Hendon Hooker, somebody like that. Then it's like, okay, Texans next. Oh, he kind of makes sense for the Texans. They're not trying to win right now. They're trying to tank. We don't have to trade for that pick. we can go after. And you kind of just are able to analyze and figure out where certain players will go so that you can try and jump teams that want to draft your guy. Because that's what's happened to the Ravens the last couple of years is the Steelers have jumped them because they were like, man, it looks like the Ravens kind of want this George Pickens guy. Jump the Ravens, take him. Oh, the Ravens kind of like this guy. Jump him, take him. The Ravens want to be in a situation where they know where do they think they have to jump to ensure that they get their guy. And understanding, these high-end quarterbacks, because it's the easiest to tell when a team needs a quarterback. It's hard to tell. Like, you can tell, okay, this team really needs a tackle or needs an edge rusher. But in terms of like wide receiver, yes, you can kind of tell, but there's so many of them. But if you're picking at pick 10, 11, 12, where Anthony Richardson could be available, I'm not saying he will be. It's likely that he goes top, 10. But if he starts to slide, maybe the Ravens start looking, okay, we can kind of trade up, after he gets taken because we know that he kind of fits certain schemes. So my opinion on this is I don't see the Ravens drafting him. I don't want the Ravens to draft him. I feel like if the Ravens end up moving on from Lamar Jackson, I don't want to go with this heavy run type of system. Again, I have no problem with it, but I kind of want to see a more, versatile, heavy passing attack with a little bit of run sprinkled in, rather than the heavy ground and pound. And I hope we do that with Lamar Jackson. But that's just kind of my personal philosophy. Again, I have no problem with Anthony Richardson. If the Ravens do draft him, I'm going to root for him. I just don't expect it to happen. And I know the Ravens bringing in players, a lot of people want to hear me talk about, hey, what do you think about this? I've talked about Zay Flowers. I've talked about a few other players the Ravens have brought in. The Ravens also brought in Dwayne McBride earlier in the offseason, who I'm super excited about. I love Dwayne McBride. I would love for them to draft him. But let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Anthony Richardson. Should the Ravens draft him? Why are the Ravens even bringing him in? Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. I'll see you.